Hey there. Hello. Hello, fellow lifeboaters who just got off the late lifeboat, because that's who we all are. That's who hangs out here. I know who I am. I know who my people are for the most part. Hey, Mary. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Hey, Miss Dragon. Because I'll be here for a tiny bit. Got to put our water bottles together before bed and get my meds in. Hey, no worries at all. Hang out as long as you want. Knock out when you need to. It's all good. And yeah, Mary's birthday is coming up. If you guys didn't see it, Miss Mary on her channel, Blessed to Crochet, is doing a birthday giveaway. So she posted a video, a live premiere of a video on that today earlier. So Mary, go ahead and drop your link to that video so people can get the information about that because that looked pretty cool. That looked pretty exciting. I'm excited about it for sure. Hey, Sandy Wandy, good to see you. Hey, Michael's Adventures, good to see you. How's it going? Thanks for coming to hang out. Thanks for coming to hang out. So it's Wednesday night. Wednesday night, hump day, some would call it. 'Cause if you're a 5-day a week, Monday through Friday worker, it's like the middle of the week. It's like it's downhill from here to the weekend. Not if you're a parent or caretaker of small children, however, who are home with you over the weekend. It's just a different kind of challenge. It's just a different kind of thing. Um, I'm finding that I adapt better to actually like running around and like chasing small people around than I do to being stuck at a desk all day. Or I can be stuck at a desk for about an hour at a time, but I at least got to be able to like get up and walk around in between. I do a lot better when I can do that. Oh, it's Thursday morning where you are, Michael's Adventures. Michael's Adventures, are you in the other hemisphere as well? How did I overlook this? I apologize if I overlooked this. But that's amazing. So you are in the future as well, like our Australian friends. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I love when I find out I know people who have seen the future. Hey, Janet G. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Miss Dragon's hanging out, listening a little bit while she gets stuff ready for the next day. Eastern time. I gotcha. I gotcha. Oh, you're right. So it's already after midnight there. Okay. Gotcha. I see what you're saying. So in my neck of the woods, I consider myself going live kinda late, but it's just late where you are, I guess. I don't get to pretend it's not late night there. Hey, Mon, good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Mon sent me some cool pictures from the future over down under in Australia. Missed. Am I a bad influence? Is it my fault? Miss says, I keep thinking I'm going to get to bed early, but it never happens. Well, I would apologize for being a bad influence, but I have a policy where I don't apologize if I'm not sorry. And I'm not sorry because I get to see you. But I do hope you get the rest you need. So, genuinely, I hope if you need to sleep that you get sleep. I'm not trying to keep you awake if you need to sleep, but I like seeing you. So, I'm not going to pretend. Miss it. Yes, you are or Kristen is. Yeah, I frequently tell myself I'm gonna turn in early as well. Like, I pretty much, like, am done pretending to myself that I feel okay about skipping streaming for a night because I just don't yet. Like, I just don't want to. I really like doing this, even if only a couple people show up. Even if no one showed up, I'd probably still do it, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, I love hanging out with all of you guys, but it also is, I don't know, it has a beneficial effect for me as well. So, I keep telling myself, "Oh, I'm gonna take this night off, I'm gonna take that night off," but then time comes and I don't want to. So, that's a thing I'll have to work on. I'll have to work on. Hey, Jesse Miller, Unboxings and More. You like the title? So, I'll tell you that is a quote I stole from someone else. I cannot remember off the top of my head who said it, and I don't have it written down easily accessible. But I'll talk a little bit about that quote in a second and like what it means to me. I want to make sure I've said hello to everyone who's here so far. I don't want anyone to feel unappreciated because you guys are all awesome. And I love that you guys come hang out with me like this. Because I know there's a million other things you could be doing with your Wednesday night at this time of night. You could be sleeping, you could be listening to ASMR videos, you could be watching cat videos, but y'all choose to come hang out here. And that's pretty great. That's pretty cool. I'm honored by that and humbled. Mon, thank you for saying the YouTuber thing for me. Please can we hit the thumbs up or thumbs down? Kristen will love it for sure. I will. It's true. It's true. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend not to care anymore. I care if you care. I won't pretend anymore. But it's okay to write thumbs down. It's okay to tell me you're not feeling it. That's great. Just don't be a fence sitter. That's all. You're 3 places right now, Michael. Wow. So you're watching 3 different videos. So, well, that's cool though. You're giving watch time to those creators. You're supporting them. You're helping them get pushed out into that algorithm. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We're not writing the whole word out. We're being careful. Or you could hit that button that means you get notifications and come back. If you enjoy hanging out here and you want to know when things happen, hit the subscribe button. Por favor, please. Ugh, I sound like a YouTuber. I don't know what happened. What happened? Miss Dragon says, if I'm still awake after these, I listen to Alan Watts. I love listening to like different like philosophers and speakers and people like Alan Watts when I'm like trying to wind down and fall asleep. I figure like even if it gets into my subconscious while I'm sleeping, then it's good stuff to get into my subconscious while I'm sleeping. You know, it's not like negative subliminal messaging. I really liked, I mean, I don't know if they'd want me, you know, they'd want to be associated with little old me, but I like the YouTube channel After School spelt with a K. Um, they do these really cool, like live illustrations paired alongside a speaker. Like I think Alan Watts is in there. I think Ram Dass is on there. I think they have Anna Lemke on there. They have a lot of cool speakers on there, but they have the speaker voiceover and then they have it paired with these really cool like live illustrations that they're doing that are just really intricate designs. And if you're still awake and watching with your eyes, it's cool to see. And if you're just listening, it's great to listen to also. So just giving that channel a little plug. I really enjoy it. My favorite quote from Galaxy Quest: never give up, never surrender. I love it. I like that very much. Yeah, yeah, you and I connected on the enjoying the after school channel, Miss Dragon. I think I shared one once that was like pretty I shared a really hippy dippy one and I thought everyone's gonna think I'm just ridiculous. And then you were like, no, I love after school. And I was like, yes, she gets it. She gets it. So I always have a hard time thinking of a title. I know I've got to think of one, and I know it's somewhat important. It's supposed to give some people some kind of semblance of an idea of what this live is about. You guys know what it's really about. It's really about hanging out and talking about what we want to talk about. And if that's heavy, great, it'll be heavy. And if it's silly, then great, it'll be silly. Um, every now and then I do have something specific that like has been sitting on my mind, like when I did the borderline personality disorder stuff. But a lot of the time, most of the time so far, it's just been like, hey, like here's my jumping off point, but wherever it goes is wherever it goes. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Miss Dragon. There's one on endocrine disruptors. That sounds good. I haven't seen that one, but I'll have to watch it. Thank you. Lester Crochet, Mary says, I'm making a wand for Kristen. Yeah, you sent me the picture. It looks so cool. And painting the stick right now that the star is going to be attached to. Oh, you got paint on your hands. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't get paint on your hands on my account, or at least not anything that cannot be washed off. Please, please. Oh, yeah, don't get any oil-based paint on your hands. It's difficult to wash off, but I really appreciate that, Mary. Mary is incredibly thoughtful. Mary's always thinking of making things for other people, and it gets my heart. So thank you. Thank you. Hey, look who it is. It's Rick Spicer. Yo, yo, folks. Kristen, Mary, Mist, Michael, Janet, Sandy, Mon, Jesse. Mary, if you were a guy, that's a whole different sentence. What? If you were a guy, that's a whole different sentence. Oh, I get it. Because Mary. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Rick, I love you. I love trying to figure out like a lot of the time I just know what your humor is somehow. Like I just know. And then on the times that I have to think about it, it's more rewarding when I get it. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing your light and your you-ness. I appreciate it. I dig it. So the title, if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit next to me. Now, I'm not changing the rule about be nice to each other. That still stands. Like everybody, like we talk about what we want to talk about, but be kind, be respectful. Don't put each other down. Don't, you know, none of y'all have that issue, but so that's still the rule. But the spirit behind this quote is kind of like you don't have to be having a good day. Everything doesn't have to be hunky dory for me to wanna hang out with you, you know? I personally have struggled with this, with, making and maintaining friendships. Like, I'll get into this headspace of, "Oh, I had such a crappy day at work, so I'm not gonna hang out with that person because they don't wanna hear about my stuff. They don't want to be burdened with my crappy day," or whatever. Um but that's not true of friendship, right? That's not how it works. And admittedly, like I'm asking just as much as I'm saying this. Like I admittedly have in the past struggled to maintain friendships over long periods of time. Like I will be really good friends with people and be really close with them and then think something will just happen. And like not anything dramatic, but it's like we'll just drift apart or one or both of us will withdraw, and I think part of it is this idea of like, I don't want to burden the other person. Um, so like if I'm going through like a really rough time in my life, then it's not my initial instinct to reach out and tell the person how I'm going through a rough time. It's taking purposeful work in the opposite direction to do that. Um, But I think that's how a lot of friendships get formed, right? Is that you are there with each other not just through the good stuff and the everything is cool and we're having fun hanging out and we're eating good food, but that you are present with each other in each other's lives for the really rough stuff too. Like I think that that's some of how a bond is formed, right? That you're there with each other through both of those things and through the ups and downs and all the boring stuff in between of life. And, I have a bad habit of trying to shield people or, like, rescue people from the tough, icky stuff in my life, and that's not served me well in the past. But y'all tell me what you think. I'm always open to people's feedback or thoughts or concepts of what friendship should look like or what it should look like. But I think it for me, I feel like it resonates with me to say like, "Hey, if you're having a bad day and you don't have anything nice to say about anything and you just wanna talk about how crappy the day was, that's cool. Come sit next to me. I'm good with that. Let's go. Let's talk about it." So, that's kinda where I am with that. Hey, Miss Sunrise Dawn, good to see you. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you. Hi from North Georgia, everyone. Miss Dragon says, "Today was a good day and a hard day. All the same, Keith got it stains out. He's feeling better." Oh, good, good. Dad has got prostate cancer. Oh, no. And at the 15% level of leukemia, he's also 90 years old. I'm so sorry, Miss Dragon. That's rough. That's rough, rough, rough. One for Miss Dragon, one's meaning expressing support, prayers, positive vibes, whatever you like. Man, prostate cancer at the 15, and I'm not sure what the 15% level means. I'm not sure what that means, but I know that anything like that is more difficult to treat and more difficult to heal from the older we are. So him being 90 years old, that has to be incredibly difficult. Sandy Wandy. See, I wanted to know about this. Sandy Wandy said, "I talk to my best friend every day." I think I asked this in another chat. Like I think I asked this in the lifeboat chat the other day is how does it work? Is there a rule book? Like how often are you supposed to talk to your friends? Like how long do you go at like if you go a certain amount of time without talking to them, does that mean they're no longer your friend? Or does that just mean you haven't talked in a while and you need to like reconnect? Like and is there such a thing as, like, reaching out to your friend too much? Like, at what point does it like, how do you know? How do you negotiate that? Is there a rule book? I don't think there is. Spoiler alert. But I'm interested in y'all's opinions and y'all's perspectives and y'all's experiences with friendship. Like, did you have a friend who like pinged you too much and it overwhelmed you? Or do you feel like, oh, my friends can't ping me enough? They're my friends. I want to hear from them, no matter what's happening, even if it's mundane. I'm curious. I'm curious. Hey, Susan P is here. Good to see you, Susan P. Nice to see you. Let's see. Jesse says, I agree. Friendships do best when the good and bad is shared. Yeah, I think that's the truth. For me, I have to like break the habit of trying to shield people from the bad stuff. I wonder if anybody else does that. Oh, drains. He got the wound drains out, Miss Dragon. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. I thought maybe it was something like that. And I guess when it reaches 20%, it spreads fast, according to my stepmom. Gotcha. So 15%. We're not at the 20% threshold. So that's something. I mean, it's not good, but I'm glad that it's lower than that threshold at least. Is this someplace in Georgia, Michael's Adventures? Ever been to Lock Bridge? Been there twice. I've never heard about this. So your best friend, Sandy Wandy, that you talk to every day, you've known since age 14. That's really cool. I mean, I'm not gonna. So I have some friends that I knew at that age, and they're like they're on my Facebook, but like I haven't spoken to them individually in years. Like they kind of like went their own way and did their own thing. I went my own way and did my own thing. And for a while, I tried to maintain it. Like there were, like I remember, like there was this one time in particular. Like there were a couple times in a row, I would reach out to this friend and invite her to do things, and either she couldn't or she would cancel at the last minute, which is different, right? Just saying, "Hey, my life is busy. I can't do things right now." That's totally different than saying like, "Okay, I will hang out," and then just being like, "Oh, I slept in. Never mind." And like one time that's cool, but over time it's kind of like, well, are you putting in more effort than me? Is this friendship something that you really value? But it's tricky. It's tricky. Michael's Adventure says, "My only real friends are on YouTube." You know, I think that's more common than we might have thought. I feel like nowadays, I feel like my best friends are on YouTube as well. Like the people that I communicate with the most, the people that I interact with the most, like I either met them on YouTube, like in a live chat situation, and then like, we took it to like Messenger and like phone and stuff like that. Um, or I just interact repeatedly with in live chats like this. So I can identify with that. I don't I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Like if they're people that support you and you support them, then I think that's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to meet these friends in person someday, but um I feel like a friendship can be just as strong if it starts in an online format. We don't have a rule book. We talk every day, says Mary Blessed to Crochet. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You and I do talk every day. We don't necessarily have like the super, super like lengthy conversations about philosophy and the universe and whatever, but we do have some back and forth every day. Even if it's just to say, hey, I was just thinking of you, like hope you're doing okay, hope you're feeling all right, like that kind of thing. Or like sometimes you'll send me something funny, like a meme or something, which I always appreciate. Um, Lately, work has been kicking my butt. Like, you would think that when you've given your notice and you're working out your last 2 weeks, you would think that that gets lighter. It has been the opposite for me. It's like suddenly they're realizing, "Oh, we need to teach people, like, all this stuff that she took care of because she's not gonna be doing it in a couple of weeks." Um, I didn't think of it so I had therapy today. I have my own therapy, like full disclosure. Like I'm fine with people knowing that. I am somebody trained as a therapist who also has a therapist. I believe every therapist should have a therapist. And there's a lot of reasons for that, for your own stuff, and then to process through stuff you might experience vicariously through other people. I'm not working as a therapist yet. That's why I'm leaving the corporate job. But um, I was talking to her about it today, and I mentioned, like, how they're restructuring things after I leave. They're basically splitting my team in 2, and like hiring a supervisor to cover one half of it and like giving another half of it to someone else. And I didn't think anything of it. Like I really didn't. But she reframed it for me. And she said, "Oh, so they have to get 2 people and hire someone new to cover the things you were doing?" And I thought, "Oh, I never thought of it that way before because I just did it for 7 years." I kinda took it for granted. So, friends are important. Therapy can be completely, like, priceless as well. Um, I think that's probably something that's probably a good conversation too, is what's the difference between a therapist and a friend? Because I think that gets confusing sometimes. So Sandy Wandy, y'all don't have a rule book about, about what you talk about. You and your best friend talk about everything, you talk every day. That's awesome. Does anybody ever get weird about it? Like if you go too long without responding to a message or something, like if you're caught up in something, is there ever a miscommunication there? Or and I'm asking this purely out of like curiosity. Like, how do other people like manage and negotiate their friendships? Because relationships are complicated, whether they're platonic friendships or business relationships or romantic relationships, they're all complicated and different people interpret things differently. Sorry, guys, it's my loud water bottle. Sandy Wandy! Sandy Wandy has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna go get that immediately. How did I not know this? Am I subscribed already and I just forgot? That's possible. I don't remember what I had for breakfast today, to be quite honest with you. If I don't write it down, I generally don't remember it. And I generally cannot multitask incredibly well either. Um, I mean, I can a little, but you know what? Actually, like from a neuroscientific perspective, nobody can multitask. That's BS. Nobody multitasks. What people learn how to do is they learn how to shift their attention back and forth from one thing to another quickly. So it looks like you're doing 2 things at once, but really you're just so like it looks like right now I'm looking on my phone for something and talking to you guys. That's not what I'm doing. I'm talking to you guys for a minute. I'm looking at my phone a minute. Then I'm talking to you guys, just going back and forth really quick. And if you've got really fast processing speed, sometimes you can do that quickly and you can do it quickly enough to make it look like you're doing 2 things at once, but you're not really. Nobody can multitask. That's nonsense. Well, maybe somebody can, but I haven't met them. What was I doing anyway? I was looking for Sandy Wandy's channel. Oh my goodness. See, more evidence for not being able to multitask. Hey, Scratch and Pete is here. Good to see you, Scratch and Pete. Hey, Seventh is here too. Seventh Son Stevo, thanks for coming to hang out with us. Let's see, where is I'm going back in the chat, you guys. Boop, boop, boop. I want to make sure I'm subscribed to Miss Sandy Wandy. I am subscribed to Miss Sandy Wandy. That looks like cross country skiing. That looks fun. Awesome blossom. Awesome blossom. Thank you for sharing, Mary. In the vein of the friendship discussion, Susan P says, my BFF and I have been friends for 53 years. That's awesome. That is so cool. I love that. So, like, y'all know all the dirt on each other, right? Like, y'all know like the high points and the low points and everything in between. That's pretty powerful. So, I do have multiple sources of water. This one is flavored and this one is just water. In case you were wondering, I'm very passionate about my hydration. So, I do have one question about a 53-year friendship, though. Did you have, like, periods of time where you were in touch less? Like, were there periods of time where you talked on the phone every day, but then also other periods of time where you might go weeks without talking? Or has it been consistent communication that whole time? I'm just curious how that happens for other people. Sandy Wandy says, I have a friend I have known for like 15 years. She is flaky. She cancels a lot. However, I like our conversation. She reads a lot and can carry on a conversation about a lot of subjects. Okay. So there's like ups and downs to that friendship. Like on the plus side, I've known her a long time. She can talk about things I'm interested in, but then on the downside, she's super flaky and cancels on me. I guess so that wasn't a problem for me before I had kids, right? Before I had my son. The flaky canceling, having to reschedule all the time, that didn't pose such a problem back then. But one anyone who has kids know once you have kids, everything changes and it's like to make time to like hang out with another adult, I have to arrange for either my husband or someone else to watch my son. So that takes some doing and sometimes it takes paying somebody. So if I have a friend who's frequently flaky and cancels at the last minute, then it gets to a point where it's like, well, I can't keep like hiring babysitters if you keep canceling on me. And it also, if it's not a babysitter, if it's my husband, it impacts him too, because then there's stuff he can't do during that time. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, I met one of my closest friends when I was 11 months old. Wowza. And she wasn't quite two. That's amazing. That's amazing. How did you even meet? Like, were your parents friends? Like a play date? That's amazing. That's awesome. Especially if y'all are still in touch today. That's fantastic. Seventh son, Stevo, says a therapist doesn't worry about hurting your feelings. I think that's a good like topic actually to sort of like dig into a little bit. Cause like on the one hand, a good therapist should be respectful of your feelings. Like they shouldn't invalidate you, right? Like they shouldn't put you down. They shouldn't be nasty to you. But if there's a truth about like, if there's something about my behavior, like if there's a truth about something I'm doing that's like sabotaging myself or like making my life harder, and I'm trying to rationalize it away, it's important that my therapist is honest with me about what they see. And in that instance, like I would say, yeah, I need them to not worry about hurting my feelings. I need them to be super blunt with me. Um, that said, different people have different personalities, right? Like, some people like a therapist who's super blunt and just to the point. That's what I love. I love therapists who are super blunt and to the point and not afraid to hurt my feelings. I love that because my feelings are not actually hurt that easily. Um, but not everyone is like that. And you can be honest, but deliver it differently. So it's a tricky thing though. Ooh, wings for breakfast, like chicken wings? That sounds delicious. That sounds delicious. I assume that came from me saying I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Um, I don't think I ate breakfast today. I don't think I ate till like 1 o'clock. So Sandy says if Steve calls, I call back within a day. Okay, okay. So that's one sort of litmus test for the amount of friend communication, at least in one instance. Thank you, Scratch and Pete. Thank you for saying the YouTube thing for me. This thumbs up. I appreciate it. Seventh was already subbed to Sandy. That's great. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, I've got new comments too. Thank you, Mon. Thank you for saying the YouTube things as well. I always appreciate it. I have a rough time remembering them. Ooh, I'm super behind in the chat. This is a wonderful problem to have. It's my favorite problem. Wowza. Wowza. I'm behind a lot. This is so cool. Let's see. I missed what? I missed 30 YouTube channels overnight. That's a lot. Somebody thought it was Mom's birthday. It's Mary from Bless Your Crochet. Her birthday's coming up in June. Maybe that's who we're confusing things with. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, I'd be 47 in August. Hey, 47, one of my favorite numbers. And my friend, I mentioned I will be 48 in July. We were discussing the other day how we don't remember not knowing each other. She and her family, our family to my family and me. That's really cool. That's a great kind of friendship. I love that. This is a good point, Mist. If you have friends with fibromyalgia or chronic pain, don't stop inviting them to things if they want to go. But sometimes their body can't go. That makes a lot of sense. Like, they might have to say no to invites a lot, and they might have to cancel a lot, and it's not anything within their control. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a good point for sure. Um, I kind of felt similarly, like when my son was little, like when he was an infant, I really couldn't go to things either most of the time, but I still liked to be invited because it let me know, okay, they haven't forgotten I exist. Like someone cares that I exist still. Um, so that's a good point. I'm glad that you shared that. Someone lied. What? What did I miss? Oh, about mom must be a year older or something like that. I'm guessing that's what it was about. Oh, and people are sharing birthdays. I'll have to make notes here so I remember to wish all happy birthday. Michael's Adventure says, "My feelings can't be hurt. I'm grown up." I mean, that could be a possibility. I don't know if feelings being hurt has much to do with being grown up. Like, it could be. Like, I think that, like, everybody has feelings, right? And I think they can get hurt. I think that the difference with being grown up maybe is, like, how we handle them. But if yours don't get hurt, then, I mean, good for you. That's awesome, man. You're more evolved than I am for sure. Susan P says, "Probably a period of about 3 years." Oh, for your friendship of 53 years, it was less, like, once every 3 weeks. Most of the time, it was several times a week. With Facebook, it can be more now. Yeah, I think that Oh, hey, Rolling Stone. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I haven't seen you in a minute. Rolling Stone says, "Hey, everyone, I can't sleep. I think I broke my foot." No! Oh, no. I was taking my new bed frame and dropped a very heavy piece right square atop my bunion. Good times. Oh, no, that is not good times. I'm so sorry, Rolling Stone. That sucks. That sucks. Well, if you can't sleep and you wanna hang out, feel free to hang out. I mean, I'm sorry that's why you can't sleep. Have you gotten any medical attention? Have you gotten it looked at all? Um, I don't know if they can do much, but if it's broken, something, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Ooh, you're right, Sandy Wendy. Day old cold pizza is a good breakfast. I agree wholeheartedly. Wait, Mish? Somebody said Mish? Is Misha here? Did I miss something? What did I miss? I'm looking. I'm rapidly becoming, overtaken by the awesomeness of the chat, and I love that you guys are talking to each other. I guess that's what I need to remember is you guys are not always talking to me. I don't need to, like, look at everything. Y'all are talking to each other just as much as me. Salad for breakfast? I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm not above it, like, I'd try it. But I never thought of it before, it just never occurred to me. Homemade pizza, ooh. Rolling Stone says, "Ouch, indeed. Could you hear me swearing on the West Coast?" Absolutely, I could. I wondered if that was you. I wondered what happened. I hadn't heard from you in a while. Gosh, is that Rolling Stone swearing over there? I'm not on the West Coast. I'm in Texas, but yeah, I can hear it faintly. Let's see. Oh, you gotta get an X-ray in the AM. Okay. Please follow up on that, and please keep us posted, and we'll be thinking of all the happy thoughts, good vibes, prayers, positive energy, all of the good things, whatever is most helpful to you, whatever you feel most comforted by. Oh, so Warren Shell says of friendships, another family has known my family since the youngest sibling of each were in preschool together. See, that's really cool when you can maintain something like that. Like I had people that I met very young, but like then we just not we drifted apart, like not on purpose, not like, it wasn't like a purposeful thing not to talk to each other anymore. It was kind of just like we kind of just went and did our own thing. Oh, thank you for the reminder, Mom. Mom sent me some cool pictures of the future that I need to share. I couldn't remember if I knew this about you or not, Miss Dragon. Miss Dragon says I was a certified nurse aide for years. Now I have extra children. That's a tough job, being the nurse's aide. I mean, like I always like to say in the medical, world, doctors make a lot of the decisions and get a lot of the credit, but nurses and nurses aides do all the work. No offense, doctors, love you. Most of you. Not every single one of you, to be honest, but most of you. But nurses and nurses' aides, they keep the wheels turning. Without them, nothing would happen. Nothing good anyway. Yes, absolutely. I agree. Pete is an awesome person. Please support him. Mary shared his link in the chat. He has a nifty YouTube channel. Go check him out. And please go check out the lifeboat, which I think is where I met most of you, where most of us met one another. So please do. Mary says, I second that for someone with fibromyalgia. Yeah. Keep inviting them to things. They might have to say no, and that's okay. Cosmic, it's so good to see you. Hi, Cosmic Christy. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with us. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Michael. Pain every day. That sucks. That sucks. I'm sorry. A club salad is a great breakfast. Huh. I never thought about it. Now I kind of want to try it. But I feel like it's not breakfast. Like, I feel like I'd have to put an egg on it. Like, that's what makes it breakfast. That's what makes a non-breakfast food a breakfast food in my book is if you put an egg on it. Like like, I know that's not realistic. I know that's not rational, but that's kinda how I think of it, right? Like, you throw an egg on it and now it's breakfast. Like a hamburger, that's not breakfast. Put a fried egg on it, now it's breakfast. I don't know, guys. It's just that's how my brain works. Sandy Wendy says salad is unsatisfying. Rob likes it though. Well, you know what I found out weirdly enough is that so I used to enjoy eating like kind of a heavy lunch, like pasta or a sandwich or something like that. But I found out lately, and I don't know if it's just like being in my later 30s now or what, but if I eat something heavy, like carby like that for lunch, I'm no good the rest of the day. Like I want to fall asleep. And it's not good. I have to eat something way lighter. So I do the salad thing for lunch a lot because it's lighter, but I do throw in something with more protein in it, like eggs or chicken or salmon or something like that. Yes, Christy is one of our people from the future. We are seeing multiple future people, and we love that. We love that. Oh, Mon has to, or Rolling Stone has got to go. Ouch. Love you guys later. I hope your foot feels better. Much love and prayers for your X-ray. I hope that whatever's wrong with it is clean and will heal up easily and quickly. I'm so glad that you stopped by. Been thinking about you. Haven't seen you in a bit. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. Catching up with the chat. I've written out for a video about what the ones mean in chat. Oh, good, good. But Misha did a good job capturing it on a live, but I'm going to put it out as a thought. That's a great idea, Miss Dragon. That's a great idea to have just like a resource to refer back to. Of friendship, Warren Shull says, physical proximity makes a big difference. I have another friend I knew throughout first grade, and then he moved to the other side of the country, and we didn't correspond much after that. It does make it easier, like for sure. I mean, I do have friends now that I've only ever known on the internet, and I've never been in physical proximity with them. But if it started that way, it does make a big difference. Like I had a friend that I got really close with in sixth grade, but then she moved back to Kansas, and I stayed in Texas, and we kind of kept in touch for a little while, but just gradually lost touch with one another. And maybe part of it was me. Honestly, I think a big part of it was me. I think I was like doing the thing where I was like, oh, well, bad things are happening right now, so I'm not going to bother them. And all that did was create a vacuum. Seventh, seventh son says, when I was training for competitive eating, I eat a head of lettuce with every meal. For real? You did competitive eating? That's awesome. I don't think I knew that about you. That's really cool. A head of lettuce, was that supposed to help like expand your stomach without adding a bunch of unnecessary calories? That would make sense. That would make sense to me. Miss Dragon says nurses have a habit of prescribing their own help. Every time I was sick, my mom would call the doctor and say, call this and this to the pharmacy. Like they know better. They might. They might though. Um, Honestly, sometimes I feel like I know better. Like I know when I have strep throat because I know what it feels like. And if they need a test to confirm it, sure, I'll say, like, "Do the test, but, here's what I'm gonna need for this," and some doctors are open to that and some are not as much. But, nurses do kinda like a good nurse will, like, follow the doctor's orders, but also be able to tell the doctor what to do at the same time. Okay, that friendship you were talking about, Warren, was pre-widespread internet. Gotcha, gotcha. The Sunrise Dawn says, "I have 2 other close friends that I met in 7th grade. We were 12-ish at the time. We text or call each other pretty frequently." That's pretty cool. I've been learning how to get better at talking on the phone lately. Um, I've been making that a priority because sometimes, like, I tend to write, like, I'll write people books and stuff like that, and sometimes that works and sometimes that good, but I know that it overwhelms people too. Like, to get this just like this wall of text, I know that overwhelms people sometimes, so I've been making a concerted effort to either be more concise or say more, like, on the phone, on here, in a voice clip, something like that. Um, but it's not the road my brain naturally wants to take, so Caesar salad does have egg. Breakfast salad. I like that. Well, now I want breakfast though, and not necessarily salad. Sandy Wandy, I love breakfast for dinner. Oh, we haven't done that in so long. I got to do that. We need to plan that. I love that. You know what? We used to do breakfast for dinner once a week around here. I don't know why we stopped it. I'm not sure why we stopped it. It's delicious. Ooh, is this on the head of lettuce we're talking about, 7th? I put 6 sliced hard-boiled eggs on it. 6. I do love hard-boiled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs are one of my kiddos', like, safe foods. Like, when he won't eat anything else, sometimes he'll eat hard-boiled eggs. Let me just make sure. I have to, like, scroll back up at the chats, see what happened. Oh, Blessed to Crochet says, "I sent you a picture of Mocha being scared by a fly." Let's take a break for show and tell because y'all sent me some cool pictures y'all wanted me to share. Mon sent me a picture of the future, tomorrow's forecast for the future from Australia, and it has these cool birds. It has what Mon called, I've never heard of these before, but Mon called them racing pigeons. Have y'all ever heard of racing pigeons? Are they different from other pigeons? Are they faster? Do they have, like, little pigeon jockeys? I'm sorry, that's ridiculous, but still, I'd never heard of racing pigeons. That's pretty cool. Oh, and here's another one of these, not a cloud in the sky, blue skies. Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen a sky that blue and cloudless. That's amazing. How is that possible? How is that possible? Oh, and Mary shared with me a picture of her puppy. Well, she's an adult dog, but I call all dogs puppies. Her dog hiding under the bed because she was scared by a fly. Oh, poor puppy. Mm. Black dogs are difficult to capture on film, but there's Mocha hiding under the bed. Poor puppy. Maybe I can turn the brightness up a little. Y'all can see a little bit better. Oh, her little nose. Yeah, that comes through a little bit better. No, I wanna hide from the fly, I don't like it. Mm. I love puppies. Puppies make me happy. And they're all puppies, no matter how old they get. Like, they're adult dogs, I still call them puppies. Rick Spicer says, "7th, you encouraged me. That's it, I'm in training, gonna try competitive bank depositing." Pump it up. I like it, I like it. If you figure out a way to get all of that money to deposit into the bank competitively, please let me know. That sounds great. Wow, really, Mist? Mist has about 50 eggs in my refrigerator right now. I share chickens with a friend. It's supposed to be 4. She keeps getting more, so we split the eggs. Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Fresh eggs, like, from, like, Happy Chickens, like, they're not the same as grocery store eggs. I have a friend who has her own chickens, and once when she came up to visit for a weekend, she brought me a carton of her, like, farm fresh eggs from her chickens that she raises and takes care of on her property, and the eggs, like, first of all, if you hard boil one of those and if you hard boil a store-bought egg, you'll find that the farm fresh one, it's, like, meatier. It's hard to describe, like, the white part of the egg is, like, thicker. You know it when you bit into it, and then the yolks on farm fresh eggs are bigger, and I don't know if maybe that's just they have more of the nutrients that allows them to make that because that yolk would be potential nutrition for a baby chick, except that, the eggs doesn't fertilize, so it's just the yolk. But, oh, farm fresh eggs are delicious. Sam has advice. He says to pickle the eggs. Miss says, "My doctor prescribes my antibiotics for bronchitis with a refill because I know when I'm getting it so I can take the refill before it gets out of hand." Miss, my mother used to get bronchitis like every year, like clockwork. Like she would get one cold and then it would get bad and then she would start to get better and it would turn into bronchitis. Like every year, like my whole life, right around the same time, like right around starting cold season. But it was just the progression was the same every time too. Oh, hey, this is a good point. Sandy Wandy says in Alaska, nurse practitioners can be an independent practice. My primary care provider was a nurse practitioner. I think that it works the same way where I am too. They call it like there's different levels of credentials for nurses, right? Like there's your nurse practitioners and then there's registered nurses and then there's like licensed vocational nurses and I don't know the exact difference between all the licensure, but I know that there's different levels. But yeah, the nurse practitioners can do their own thing. I knew a few psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners. Like they basically functioned as psychiatrists, but like with the medication prescriptions and stuff, but they didn't have like the full MD that psychiatrists do usually. You too, Jesse? I've been known to type books to people too. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of, and I have a habit of, like, writing people letters when I have something, like, heavy or difficult to talk about. Like, even going back to when I was a little kid, I did that. Like, I was, like, 10 and writing my mother a letter when my feelings got hurt by something. I've done that for a long time. Michael's Adventures posits that breakfast meal is not a time of day. That's a good point. Breakfast, right? My understanding is like your breakfast is just when you break your fast. It's just the first thing you eat after not eating for a while. So I guess if I don't eat until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then whatever I eat then is my breakfast. Well, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, hey, I got more messages. Hey, Sassy Savage, good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out with us. Janet says, I'm not sure if I'm following correctly, but Seven says the last relationship I was in, the girl, my club salad. I'm missing something there. Like she ate your club salad, she made your club salad, the girl was your club salad. Was the relationship with the club salad because it was so good? I'm trying to get on the same page. Warren says, on the breakfast for dinner thing, I've never understood why people restrict certain foods to certain times of day, with the exception of coffee and alcohol. Yeah, I don't know. I totally I wasn't rigid about it, but like 5 or 6 years ago, I kind of had this idea that, oh, certain foods I only want to eat for lunch or dinner, like lasagna. I wouldn't have eaten lasagna in the morning back then. But then my whole life turned upside down when I had my son because when he was a newborn, you don't sleep on a regular schedule. Like your sleep is all over the place. So like when I was hungry was when I was hungry and what was in my fridge was what was in my fridge and I'd eat that. And so that led to sometimes eating lasagna at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. I don't even remember the context of this, but a half a pound of bacon is just that's just a good comment. Bacon is delicious. Sassy Savage says, "Just woke up. Hope you've all had a great day. Thanks for coming to hang out with us, Sassy Savage." Let's see. Half pound of bacon isn't much. Yeah. I think we should round it up to a pound. I think you're right. We should just get a pound of bacon. That'd be great. So racing pigeons are a thing. I never heard of them before Mom sent me the picture. Oh, and Janet G says, I have about 100 racing pigeons on our property. My husband was a game bird dove pigeon habit. He raises birds as a hobby. Oh my gosh. That's really cool. I get to learn so many cool things about you guys. I didn't know that. I don't think I knew that, did I? Oh, this is a good point, Mon. Think of the pigeons in World War II. They were sent all over Europe to take messages to spies. That's a good point. That's a good point indeed. I really like that. Oh, racing pigeons. So they're homing pigeons trained to race to a certain location. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. So they're working pigeons. They're not just like to be pretty. That's cool. Mom says that's nice. I just don't like the rats that visit me. Gotcha. The eggs. Yeah. Do you mean the eggs, Mist? Miss Dragon says, "I can't go back. I'll have to raise them whether my cats like it or not if it comes to that point." I'm guessing you mean the chickens and the farm fresh eggs. Like, it's just not the same. It's just not. Janet G says, "7th, homing pigeons, the kind we have, are homed to where they were born. You cannot train them to home to another location." Huh. So is that like if you were to like say to the pigeon, "Go home," and it would just go to wherever it was born? Like, is that what it would do? A pigeon? Really? I had no idea. Sandy Waney says we fed our chickens table scraps. The yolk was orange, not yellow. I've heard like people's like home chickens like lay much better eggs because they're happier, because people are, on an individual level. Like if I have a group of 4 chickens, I'm probably treating them much more kindly and giving them more individual attention than say a factory farm with like just a barn full of chickens all like stuffed next to each other. Ooh, I never thought of this, Mist. Miss Dragon says if ever you're in a pinch for feeding yourself protein, do you want to look to quail? They lay faster and younger than most chickens do. Oh, quail eggs? Quail eggs are smaller though, right? They're like that, aren't they? Maybe a little bit bigger. That's great, Michael's Adventures. Michael's Adventure says I haven't had a cold or virus of any kind in 25 years. 25 years? Holy crap. I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that, man. I take a spoonful of local honey every day. I'll have to give that a shot. It can't hurt. Honey's delicious too. Mon says nurse practitioners work harder than a doctor at times. My girlfriend did it in the States and her husband have back to West Australia. Her husband is American and he does work US time for Walmart. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, they do sometimes. And they can't bill as much either, I don't think. Hmm. The local honey thing, Mom says, Michael, I can't have honey. Is it a special type? If it's a honey allergy, then maybe, and I don't know. The theory behind the local honey, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael's Adventures, since you do it, you might know better than I do. But the theory behind the local honey is that it's supposed to help with allergies because the bees use pollen to make honey, I think. And it has like little bits of the allergens that are in the air at the time that they make it. So it's like a very subtle way to kind of expose yourself and get your body used to it. I think it works for some people. Miss says, when I was younger, nurse practitioners at the time, almost the same as doctors, RN, 2 or 4 year, LPN licensed practical nurses, then certified nurses aide. Not sure when the medical aid fits. Yeah, like medical assistants. Like they're usually the people that when I come into the office, they get my weight, my blood pressure, and my temperature. I think that's them anyway. And Sassy Savage sent me some show and tell photos of how pretty everything looks from her view. Says this morning was super cloudy but cool pic. Tonight is clear. Wowza. What a sunset. Holy moly. Would you guys the phone on the screen doesn't really do it justice. Like it really doesn't. Let me see if I can affect the the brightness. Like that's the dusk with the sunlight going down in a wall of clouds up above. That's beautiful. Holy moly. And then here's a nighttime one. Ooh, that moon on the water. Wow. Wow, Sassy Savage. These are beautiful. Thank you for sharing these with us. I feel like my computer screen doesn't do them justice at all, though. But that's awesome. Thank you. I love wildlife, like nature, like vistas and stuff like that. Uh-oh, rat stories. Mom says, Janet G, rats. I saw a cute one and thought it was a mouse on steroids. The rats I'd seen were bigger. Oh, how funny. A mouse on steroids. They were competing. They were kind of getting the competition shape. Sorry. Rick Spicer asks, advice needed. How do you make yourself hungry for real? Poor people shrink guts. Fixable, but mentally stop hunger. How do you start it? That's a good question. I mean, I think sometimes hunger is an adaptive thing to feel because, like, sometimes we're hungry because we need fuel for our body. But I think if we're eating food for another reason, like if we're not particularly hungry, if we're not particularly malnourished in anything, and we're just mindlessly noshing that bag of barbecued potato chips, um, then that's probably a situation where not being hungry would be preferable. Um, but I think it's used as like a way to deal with discomfort, right? It's used to cope with things, the food and the overeating. That's perfectly okay, seventh. Check in when you want to and, chill when you don't. But you said can't text and chat at the same time. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Pea soup for breakfast. I've never had pea soup. I don't know how I'd feel about it. Really? Really, seventh? The last relationship I was in, she was 19 years younger and would only talk via text. What? So were you guys like sitting in the living room together and instead of like her talking to you, she's like sending you a text message? I hope not. That's wild. That's wild. Backing up, backing up. Cosmic says, I can't eat at all. I can't eat at all much until later in the day. So if I'm going to eat something, it's anything I want and can. I don't have meal times. Well, I think that makes sense because, like, if you have something going on where you just feel like an aversion to food, like if you can overcome that, then like, yeah, make use of it and eat the food that you need to eat to nourish your body and keep yourself going. Those are the kind of pigeons Mike Tyson has. I remember when I first learned Mike Tyson raised and, like, handled pigeons, I just kind of like, I just loved that. Like, it's so unexpected. It's so unexpected for a guy like that. So it makes me happy because clearly, like, that's a softer side of him that probably, is never seen much. So I just thought that was super cool. Jenna G says, yes, homing pigeons have some sort of magic instinct radar and are homed to where they were born. That's wild. That's really cool. I wonder, so hey, we have in the past theorized about whether you can train squirrels to swim and then synchronize swim. I bet you can train pigeons definitely to like synchronized fly. I bet you can. You must be able to. If you can train them to like do the homing thing, like surely you can train them to do a little like pigeon air dance. Surely. Yeah. Go check out Michael's Adventures, his channel. He does cool wildlife content. Emily is a cool little raccoon we get to watch hang out. So go check out Michael's channel. It's pretty fun stuff. Pigeons use Earth's magnetic field and sight cues to find places. The magnetic thing has a special name. Wow. didn't know this. Pigeons are so much more complex than I ever gave them credit for. Like, honestly. Like, I used to think of pigeons as just like kind of like the bird version of a rat or a rodent in a big city because there would be so many of them and they'd be in these like clusters. But it sounds like they're way more complex than that. Magnetoreception or magnetoreception. I'm not sure how to say it, but that's a dang good word for something. Pigeons using Earth's magnetic fields and sight cues to find places. Wow, that's really cool to me. That's neat. It's 3 a.m. if tons of tea. You just reminded me to take another sip of my water. Thanks, Mon. Please hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. It would be appreciated. Or hit the subscribe button with the little bells. Just like click some of the buttons. Like you can't go wrong. Just click some of the buttons. That's all. Like you don't have to click them a certain way. Just click some buttons. Oh, is this currently Sassy Savage? That's where the pictures are from? They're from, the lake house for the last night. That's really cool. I love it. Seven says, "You're a savage photographer, Savage." I love that. I love that. Alright, Michael, have a good nap. Catch you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us. Alright, Jesse Miller's gonna get some sleep too. Thanks for coming to hang out and chat with us, Jesse Miller. It's always good to see you. Love Jesse Miller's channel too. She does a lot of cool unboxing stuff, so y'all check her out if you get a chance. Janet G says, "Ooh, birds we have had: ringneck, Elliot's reeve, Swinhoe pheasants, wild turkeys, peacocks, bobwhite quail, guinea fowl, Himalayan impeans." I don't even know what that looks like. Doves, pigeons, cinnamon teals, wood ducks, breasted geese. Wow, you have all the birds. You have all of them. I did a super short random live earlier tonight when I was on the last 5 minutes of my walk with my dog because I came across a tree that had been struck by lightning and split in half, and half of it was across the sidewalk. So I wanted to share it. But randomly in that live stream, a cool crane showed up too. Now he's just like a crane that hangs out, in the creek nearby. But he was pretty cool looking. But he flew away pretty quickly because of my dog. So this could very well be Janet G, but we might all be a little bit as well. Are you referring to because of all the different kinds of birds you have had? Because these aren't birds you have seen, these are birds you have had and taken in and cared for, correct? Miss Dragon says, "Love you all, gotta sleep." Okay, Miss Dragon, have a great, great sleep. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's always so good to see you. It's awesome when you're here. I miss you when you're not. Rick Spicer says, "Odd how I came up with so many questions with no answers. Odd." I was watching something earlier today, and it was a quotation of a philosopher. And now I can't remember the name of the philosopher, but it was one of the old, really well known and respected ones. And it was talking about how a sign of intellect is not saying a bunch of things necessarily, it's not knowing all the answers, it's knowing what questions to ask. It's asking interesting questions, that's more of a hallmark of intelligence because that's a person that wants to learn more. I thought that was interesting. Oh, okay. Of the woman that you were with who only texted, Seven says, "No, when we weren't together, she'd only texted. And when we were together, we didn't talk either." Oh, that's a bummer. That feels very lonely, or it seems like it would feel very lonely. Like there's nothing quite like the loneliness that you feel when someone actually is around physically. But if you're not able to connect with them emotionally, spiritually, that's a very lonely existence. That's really hard. It's almost like I would rather be alone all by myself than feel alone with somebody else, if that makes any sense. Ooh, Mom says, "Janet G, the guinea fowls I've seen had some extra long nails and were aggressive." Nope. Oh, this is cool, Sassy Savage, your family's lake house. It's the place I go to cleanse, earth, shield, and re-energize when feeling heavy. I'm super lucky to have this spot. Yeah, places like that you can go to with like nature that are kind of just separate from your day to day. That's awesome. And if you don't have access to something like that, well, maybe just like a spot by a certain window, like where you can see the moon and the stars in a certain way. Like I think having something to, I don't know, connect us to this world we live in can be incredibly therapeutic sometimes. Lately, on the ends of my dog walks, when I get back, I lay down on the grass and I look at the sky. And probably my neighbors think I'm weird, but they already knew. The Reeves pheasant is the most aggressive bird, says Janet G. He slashed my husband. Oh no, that's not good. Hey, this is a good question, Warren. Warren Shull asks, I wonder if the recent auroras have affected pigeons. Gosh, I wonder if they would be confused by them. Like, I wonder if they would like fly off in the wrong direction or something. Janet G says the most aggressive bird we have ever had is the Reeves pheasant. We still have him. He attacks my husband unless he carries a stick. Wow. We named it Genghis Khan. That's awesome. That's a wonderful name for an aggressive bird. I love that. That's fantastic. I would watch this. This is a great suggestion Sassy Savage made. Sassy Savage says, Janet, you should make a YouTube channel on raising all the birds and everyday fun and struggles. I would absolutely watch that for sure. That would be awesome. I know it's work, but I would totally watch that. Oh, I love this. Is this a pun on purpose? I think Warren Shell was saying goodnight to Miss Dragon and said, good night. You will be missed. MYST. I hope that was on purpose. That would make me so happy. I mean, it's still cool if it's not, but it's even better if it's on purpose. Janet G says, years ago, I told my husband that the birds were his thing. So he takes care of them. I have enough on my plate. I had to put my foot down. You know what? That's fair, Janet G. If it's going to be his hobby, let it be his hobby and let him take care of it. Don't add more work to you because it's not a hobby you chose for yourself. Let's see. Sassy Savage says, Rick, when I got super depressed when Hubs deployed the first time, I lost so much weight and could not eat. Hubs returned and continued to buy and make my favorite foods. Slow snacking at first to build appetite. I must have seen earlier in the chat, I think Rick was asking how to eat when you're not hungry. Maybe I missed it, or maybe I forgot in all the other chat excitement and hilarity. I apologize if I overlooked something. Definitely not my intention. I don't know what the context here is. I'm totally lost now. I totally lost, but 7th ed is couldn't have sex all day no matter how hard I tried. Oh, like when you're like when you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't talk, is that what you mean? Like when you're in a relationship with the person who never talked and only texted to you? Yeah, I mean, like with someone who never talks to you, like even if the sex is great, eventually you have to talk to them or hang out or do something else. And if you have nothing else in common, then it's kind of a bummer. If that's what you mean, I don't know. Yes. Warren Shell says the pun was on purpose. Yes. We can shut down the stream now. It doesn't get any better from there. No, I'm just kidding. Of course. Wait, I missed it. There was another one you added there. It's this one. And this is the one that made me just giggle like this. Most people say I'm dragging them on too long. I love puns. I really do. I enjoy puns immensely. So Mon's idea for the birds is that would be awesome for a station. Otherwise, get your husband to film Janet G and use his film and get the admiration you deserve with those birds. That's it. Yeah, that's what you could do. Have him do all the like legwork for the YouTube channel about the pigeons, and then you get the credit for it. Especially since it's in your house. Oh, okay. Rick asked how to eat. Okay, I thought maybe he did, but I wasn't positive. Thank you, Sassy Savage. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. That would be really hard worrying about your husband away on deployment. I always wonder about like how people cope with that. I really do. I mean, I've just had times where like my husband was working a lot and I just didn't see him till late at night and he left early in the morning and I thought, "Man, this is the pits. This is rough." I don't have anybody to tag out with when our kid gets really, wild and, it's kind of lonely and like and that wasn't even with him being away physically. So I always think about people whose spouses are deployed and wonder how do you cope with that? Eating makes you sleepy, huh, Rick? Okay. And there's never time in the day. I'm a night guy. This is good advice. If you feel like you don't have time to like eat full on meals, then just like snack a lot. Like if you feel like you can't sit down to eat like a full lunch or whatever, just keep a bunch of like healthy snacks that you like. Like, I don't know, hard boiled eggs or cheese sticks or something like that. But yeah, Sassy Savage is right. If you're not getting enough calories in your body, you're going to get tired for sure. Oh man. Janet G, I'm still really upset by a certain person on the lifeboat tonight. Someone in crisis. My stomach is churning. Janet G, do you mean like you're still worried about this person? Like you're thinking of them and hoping they're okay? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean like they said something that upset you or hurt your feelings? Feel free to go into detail if you like, but don't feel pressured to. You don't have to. Um, But I hear you. Sometimes people bring really heavy things, and sometimes we feel like we wanna fix it. We feel like we wanna rescue a person, um, but ultimately we can't, and we don't have that power, and it's really difficult. Um, and then we worry about that person, especially if it's someone that we care about. Okay, Janet G says, "Yeah, still worried. We talk on Facebook. I'm worried about her." Mon says, "Janet G, I'm sorry. They'll get support, I'm sure." I mean, if you want, I don't know, like, I don't wanna get too detailed about people who are not here, because that's their information, but, um, like anybody, you can give people resources and you can give people support, but you can't force them to do certain things. You can't like, obviously, if there's, like, an immediate emergency, like, if someone's, like, passed out or something like that, and, like, obviously, that's a 911 kinda situation, right? Like, if someone's in an immediate, like, light threatening, like, right now, like, the S is hitting the fan, like, that's a 911 kinda issue, but if it's, if it's what I think it is, then sometimes you can provide all the support and provide all the resources, but you can't force a person to use them. And I think that's the hardest thing about having a helper temperament, you know? That's kinda how I think of it, or having, like, a healer temperament. Like, if you're just someone that, like, loves your people and worries about your people and wants to take care of them and help them get what they need to be better, I think that's one of the hardest things is you wanna do for them and you wanna throw them through the window into the place that they need to be safe. Uh, but you can't, even if you were physically in the same place as they are. Um, that's the hardest thing, about having that kind of temperament is you can't force people. Um, you can just keep reaching out, and you can just keep being there, and just keep being non-judgmental, and keep offering the support, and just keep encouraging the person. If this is what I'm thinking it is. If it's not, please, please, please correct me. Um, but I hear you, and I feel for you, and I worry too. I do. Wow, that chat got really slow. I don't know if it's my internet or what, or we just got really heavy. Wow, it got really quiet. Either I said something really right or I said something really wrong. Guess we'll find out. So, guys, yeah, Janet G, if you wanna talk more, please do. If you wanna talk more, you know, outside the chat, we can also. Um, Obviously, we wanna protect everyone's privacy. So, no matter what, though, I'm always rooting for you, whoever you are. And I may be a tiny potato, but I believe in you. I think everybody, like, yeah, yeah, Rick. What did I miss here? Rick Seventh says, Rick, sativa THC gives you energy and hunger. So if you're having trouble eating, it can help you increase your hunger. But Rick says, yes, I do, but there would never be enough ever. Oh, I gotcha. Hence the lifeboat. Gotcha. For the support. I was thinking about something earlier today, guys, and it really hit me really, really hard, like in the face, like in a good way, though, in a good way. I have been on and off in therapy for since I was 13. And how old am I? I'm 37. 13. So 20 plus years, not continuously, like in and out, like, but I've seen multiple therapists. I've seen like 10 plus therapists. I went to school and I got a master's degree and I got licensed as a therapist. And I've had varying degrees of success. Some therapists have been more helpful than others. Some have been better than others. But I've never really made as much progress with a therapist as I have in the past few months. And I think what I was missing from that was this and this here and what we have on the lifeboat, which is the connection we have with each other and this aspect of being able to, like, at most, I'll see a therapist once a week and we talk about really important things and I might hit some really important insights, but I don't have a way to process that and put it into practice and really let it sink in if I don't have people like you guys that I trust to process it with. If I don't have like people who I trust who are friends that I can sort of see myself through their eyes, that's what makes it sink in. And I'm seeing that happen with lots and lots of people. And I think that therapy and peer support just need to be best friends. And that's just my take. Um, Maybe not for everybody 100% of the time, but I mean, if you think about it, even if you're not talking about an addiction, even if you're talking about like a psychotic disorder, like I had a close relative who had a psychotic disorder, who had schizophrenia, and she was always at her worst when she was disconnected from people. That was always when her symptoms were at their worst, and they were always at their best when she had people around her that she trusted. So I think there's way more to this. Let me catch up with the chat here. Sassy Savage says, I'm not really religious, but raised off and on in a Baptist church. I feel I'm more spiritual being and ask too many questions, but I feel that in Janet's case, I repeat the serenity prayer. Yeah, it's one of the few I've kept from church. How's it go? God grant me the serenity to change the things I can, to accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that's it. I probably didn't do it justice. Um, yeah, some things we have to, even if you don't believe in like a God or a higher power, I have like a mental image that I used to use, like for when I worked with clients in the community mental health clinic who have like really, really rugged problems and like would disappear on me and like, run the streets and I might not see them for another month or so, is I would think of it as like balloons. Like you know, you have to let people go like balloons. They're going to float off into the sky and go be there where they're going to be and have their journey. And hopefully if they need help, they come back. But it's, something you have to realize you don't have control over. You can help and be there, but you're not in charge of it. That's a tough thing to Aw, thanks for being here, Rick. Rick Spicer says, "Thanks for all the help, everyone. You all are smart. Life lessons from no books, but experience." The books are great, Rick. I love the books. I really do. I have a thing for the books. I'm kind of a book hoarder, but they don't get you anywhere by themselves. That's what I believe. They don't get you anywhere by themselves. Yeah, the Serenity Prayer is a good one, even if you're not necessarily believing in a higher power. We got quiet, guys. I think that we got a little bit heavy. We were talking about training some pigeons, and then we got into some heavier stuff. Book hoarder, that is a good thing. I love books. Like, what do I have next to me right now? This is random. This isn't even like clinical. This is Memoirs of a Geisha. I haven't read this yet, and I keep meaning to. This is what the film is based off of. Most films that I feel like most good films, they have a book that they started from, and a lot of the time the book is better. Um, so that book hoarders are great people. Thanks, Mon. One thing about book hoarders is that we always have more books than we'll ever have time to read. So I guess the most I can hope for is that I can like at least get most of them read or snippets of all of them read, and then share ones that I don't ever have time to read, like, share them with people who do have time to read them. And I do buy a lot of them used too. I'm gonna throw up a couple of links here, guys, because 'cause we're getting close to 1 o'clock in the morning, and that seems like a good time, at least my time. I said that wrongish, says Rick Spicer. I like books, but life will kick lessons. Yeah, yeah, life lessons. Yeah, that's important. Yeah. That's where the secret sauce is. Rick, this is a good point because that's why in graduate school, if you're learning to be a therapist, that's why they have what's called a practicum. Like you have your coursework, right? But then you have a whole year. It's a class technically, but it's called a practicum. And basically you just work someplace for a year, like as a therapist or as a counselor. And somebody supervises you and tells you what to do and make sure you're not being ridiculous. Um, but you work somewhere and you do it like that, at some point you have to learn by doing. You do the book learning first, but you've got to learn by doing at some point. And I think that's true for most things. Janet G says, I knew a couple who were professors. They went to their favorite bookstore every week. The cashier was not allowed to say the total out loud, but had to write it on a piece of paper instead. I love that. So, like, the bookstore was like their date night. I love that. I love that very much. Oh, do you mean Memoirs of a Geisha Mon? Okay, so I should be prepared. It's an awesome book, but the end was a no. Don't look at the last page, Kristen. Don't do that. I was tempted. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sassy Savage says, I literally have bookshelves that are overflowing and wrap around my living room walls. They do. I want to come to your house. That sounds wonderful. I inherited all of my aunt's books on top of all mine, plus 3 sets of encyclopedias. Holy guacamole. Yeah, I agree, Warren. I'm not religious, but I like the life lessons and the serenity prayer. Yeah, I agree. I think that that can be applicable whether you are religious or believe in God or a higher power or not. I think there's wisdom in that. What time does cricket start? Well, to ask her, she would tell you it's random, but I seem to notice it's usually around 1 a.m. Central Standard Time. But the way she describes it is it's random, but seems to usually be around this time. So I'm gonna go grab her link and get ready to share that since it's getting to be that. This is funny you mentioned this about the encyclopedias, Janet G, because I so as a kid growing up, we had a set of encyclopedias, and it was either pre-internet or when the internet was just kind of starting to be a thing in people's homes. And whenever we would have discussions at dinner about random stuff, and whenever it came to like whenever we were unsure of something and we disagreed about something, like a fact, we would all go back to the encyclopedias to try to, like, look it up. Like, instead of Googling things, we got out the encyclopedias. And my dad was notorious for, even if you proved him wrong, so to speak, with the encyclopedias, he would find a way to talk around it and, like, say it was some kind of loophole so that he was actually still right. That was a thing that went on quite frequently, but I got to read the encyclopedias a lot as a kid because we had them. I don't know if they kept them. I'll have to ask them. I don't know if they kept them. Let's see. I'm gonna put Cricket's link in our chat. I think everybody here is familiar with Cricket's channel, Chow Yun Smut, but she does a really, really cool live stream each night, like the late night, the dirty stay ups. Like I'm like early late night. She's like the late, late night. She's the real deal. I just hang out, but she does a lot. She interacts with the chat. She's great about making everybody feel seen. That's one of my favorite things about her channel is that you kind of get to come and hang out and process. And if you have heavy stuff, you can go there. And if you just want to hang out and be silly, you can go there too. I love her channel very, very much. So I always encourage people to head on over there. If you don't already, please do. I think most people here do, but please continue to do so. Really? Your mom named you after a character in a book? I love that. I don't know if, it's related to your handle or yeah, I mean, maybe your name offline, your non-YouTube name, but I always love that. Old encyclopedias, yeah, those are great. Wow, Sandy, 5,000 books. Just a guess, I should count. I think one of the coolest, like, home libraries I ever saw was I think I was in yeah, this was undergrad. I had a professor who I started working in his research lab for a little bit, and he had, like, I kid you not, like, the walls, like, of his whole house were lined with bookshelves, and he had them all filled with books, like, everywhere. Like, you could never finish all these books. Like, I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, but it was really cool to look at all of them. And he had this cool dog that he always brought on campus. He wasn't like an official emotional support dog or service dog or anything like that. He was just his dog. And he was like, dang it, I'm the professor. I'm going to bring my dog with me to work. And like, y'all can all jump if you don't like it. And it was just great. The dog's name was Toby. I miss that dog. I think he went to go work for the National Institute of Mental Health. I think. Not the dog, but the professor. Although the dog could have qualified for that too, I don't know. Okay, yeah, cricket typically doesn't start before 1 a.m. Central Time, often about 5 or 10 minutes after, yeah. So usually, like, often I'll use that if I'm still awake in here, you guys, I'll use that as my cue to, like, stop our live stream is when I get her notification that she's live, is I'll be like, "Okay, it's Cricket's turn, y'all head over to see Cricket." It's what you sent your kids to, also, Sassy Savage, the encyclopedias, but Google came in their early teens. I tried oh, man. Well, we used, the encyclopedias when we didn't have Google. I mean, I remember when the search engines when there were a whole bunch of different ones, like, Google existed, but it wasn't, like, the be all and end all of them. It wasn't the only search engine out there. Like, there was Yahoo, there was, Excite, there was, gosh, does anyone remember dogpile.com? And its shtick was that it, like, combined results from several different search engines. AskJeeves.com. Oh, man. That would give things to you, like, in the form of an answer to a question. Kinda nostalgic. What I used a lot of as a teenager, I used a lot of music downloading software. If you remember Napster in its heyday before it was kind of, nerfed, I used Napster a lot, and I found some really cool old stuff. Like, I found, like, a classic Dr. Pepper commercial on Napster that way, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Then I also downloaded a lot of music for free that probably I wasn't allowed to. And then when they nerfed Napster, I got into LimeWire. But you could also accidentally get a lot of viruses on your computer that way. Okay, Sassy. Heather is my birth name, although never called that. Heather from The Flame and the Flower by Kathleen E. Woodwiss. That sounds beautiful. That sounds really cool. I want to read that book now. I don't know what it's about, but it's a beautiful title. And I had to go to the library. Oh man, I didn't remember card catalogs. I think I remember just the end of the actual card catalogs before they digitized everything. Um, but like they had an older library on campus where I went to college at University of North Texas, and I still remember like they had started digitized the way to find them, but the library itself and the way everything was organized and like just the way it wound around and like the narrow bookshelves and things like that, it was still very it still felt very classic, I guess, and it had that like old book smell all throughout. Old book smell is one of my favorite things ever. I love the smell of old books. It's like they have a soul or a history. Especially like I love the idea of used books. I love wondering like who read this before me and what did they think about it and what was going on in their life when they read this. What I really really love is when I get a used book and I find that whoever's owned it before me has like written things in the margins about it. I love that. That's one of my favorite things. I could spend way too much time in a half price bookstore. Sassy Janet G says, "Sassy Savage, that's beautiful." Heather is an alpine flower I see in the alpine meadows of the Canadian Rockies. Grows low on the ground, grows very slowly, and tolerates very intense weather. Ooh, I kind of like that. That's kind of poetic. I like that. We do need a candle that's scented like old books. That would be fantastic. This book is not that old. It doesn't have old book smell. Oh, well, it's starting to develop it though, but it doesn't have old book smell yet. I do have one of these things. I do have a Kindle, because I don't have unlimited shelf space, and, sometimes if you're traveling, that's more practical, but I do still love the physical copy of the book. I love that. I agree. I'm pretty floored that there's still 14 people hanging out at past 1 in the morning. Y'all are pretty cool. My mom has always grown purple Mexican heather. What does that look like? I'd love to see that. Oh, you know what came up earlier today, and I don't know who all was there, was like finding therapists. That like finding a therapist is hard, and it is hard. Even if you know where to look, finding one that you get along with and that like is a good fit for you is really hard too. Um, I'm gonna see if I can share it and pull it up. I like this resource called Psych Today. Would say we don't want to be associated with you, Kristen. But psychologytoday.com has a nifty like search function for finding therapists. So it's just let's see if I can find the string art again. 1 second. My friends. My friends. And they're to Google. Oh, the candles. New perfume idea. Old books. Oh, like if a perfume it could smell like old books, that would be cool. Let's see. I'm going to let's see. Here we go. So this is what the Psychology Today interface looks like. If you just go to psychologytoday.com, it has a spot for you to pick. Like you can look for therapists, you can look for online therapy, so people who do specifically like just by telehealth, like just by Zoom, if you don't want to physically go into an office. You can look for psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are different from therapists in that they're MDs and they can prescribe medications. Um, Whereas, most counselors and therapists usually can't prescribe medications, although it depends on what state you're in. Treatment centers is gonna be more like where you're gonna find, like, your inpatient or your detox facilities, and then you can also search for support groups. But if you're just looking for an individual therapist, you can, like, plug in, like, where you live, like, say I wanna find somebody in Dallas, like, I can just plug in Dallas, Texas, and different therapists will, like, post their information here, like, what insurances they take, what their style of therapy is, um, what their licensure is, like, and I'm not endorsing any of these individual people, I don't know these individual people, I just wanted you guys to see what this interface looks like and what this website looks like, um, but you can, like, click and see, like, this person has a Master of Science, they're a licensed professional counselor, they're an RPT. RPT stands for a registered play therapist, which means that they work with kids. You can click their name to see, like, a little more about them. It says what their rate is, whether they take insurance or not. Um, some therapists don't take insurance at all. Some will, like, list which it'll say, like, who they see, like, does say kids, adults. It'll say what kind of therapy they do. So, like, this person, they do cognitive behavioral therapy, they do play therapy. But, like, I would probably like, say I were looking for someone who took my insurance, then I would probably, like, weed this person out, like, "Oh, it doesn't say that they take insurance." Although you can click that just to make sure. Yeah, it doesn't say that they take insurance, so if you need somebody to take in your health insurance, then you might weed them out that way, but yeah, you can see a whole bunch of people on here. I'm not endorsing any of these individual people. I don't know them personally, but I did wanna give you guys a chance to see what this looks like. So let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing that and see if that put everybody right to sleep, because it could have. It could have. Looks like everyone is winding down. Sassy Savage says, "I like playing with essential oils. Old books would be a great base note with something light on top. I'd wear it or spray it all over the house." Ooh, that would be nice. Let's see, shall we? Oh, it looks like we got our notification. Woohoo! I'm gonna share the link straight to the live stream in the chat here so that you guys can head on over to see our friend Cricket, the lovely Chow Yun Smut. Well, I think her channel name is Chow Yun Smut. Her name is Cricket. I mixed the things up because it's 1 in the morning and I'm kind of loopy. Loopy, but not tired. That's the thing. All right. So let's hop on over. If you're still awake, if you are still not ready to go to sleep, if you're still needing some more connection and some camaraderie and some just hangout time, go head over to our friend Cricket's channel. And thank you guys very much for being here tonight. I love talking with you guys every night, every single night. I am humbled and surprised that people are here. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful you guys let me talk about my weird quirks and foibles and that you share little pieces of your lives with me. So thank you so much. See y'all later or see y'all tomorrow in one of the various places we all like to frequent. Bye, y'all.